Hi, my name is Dan Woods, CTO and editor of Evolve Technologist. Today, this video will tell you the story of DrivenToPerform. I wrote this book because there's a growing need for better performance management in companies as the world becomes more globalized, as compliance pressures increase, and as risks grow. The easiest way to understand performance management is to use the GPS metaphor that's chosen for the cover of the book. If you look at the cover of the book, you see a map. And on the map is a beginning state, several points along a journey, and an end state. It's important to remember that performance management is not just about the dashboard of your car, which tells you readings, simple numbers like your speed, your oil pressure, your water pressure, things like that. Performance management is about a journey. It's about how you get from one place to another. So the modern GPS system actually helps you figure out the right route. It helps you understand whether there are barriers in the way. It helps you understand whether there's a traffic jam. And that's what performance management does. It allows you to understand if you are driving according to the speed limits that are put on modern businesses. This book was authored by Nenshad Bardalawala, Stephanie Buscemi, and Denise Brody, 3 SAP executives with long experience in business intelligence and enterprise performance management. The book is created in 3 parts. Part 1 deals with the context and the evolution of performance management. Part 2 deals with the software, the business intelligence supporting aspects, and also the risk and compliance aspects of performance management. Part 3 differentiates the book from many, many other books. In Part 3, each chapter goes through a specific business area: finance, supply chain, the HR, IT. In other words, performance management is about not only tracking the performance of your business, it's also about tracking the compliance and the risk measures so that you can understand not only are you getting to where you want to go, but are you getting there within the speed limits, and are you paying attention to any risks along the way? One of the most important concepts that appears over and over in the book is that of the performance management life cycle. The performance management life cycle has 4 stages. The first is strategize and prioritize. In the strategize and prioritize phase, a business sets forth its hypothesis for how it's going to improve itself and achieve its goals. A strategy, after all, is a hypothesis. It's a guess, if you will, about what will work to make the business better. Many times in performance management, there's a gap called the strategy to execution gap between the hypothesis as stated and the actions that a business is taking to carry them out. A well-executed performance management life cycle closes the strategy to execution gap. In the second stage, planning and execution, the specific tasks that carry out the strategic hypothesis are performed. It's important at this stage to devolve those high-level hypotheses into specific actions that are taken throughout the entire organization. This aligns the company along the strategic direction that senior management has set forth. The next stage, monitor and analyze, is all about keeping track of how well those execution stages are going and understanding whether or not they're working. And finally, the 4th stage, model and optimize, is about looking at a deeper level whether the strategic hypothesis is being executed in a way that's achieving the goals. What happens is you then take the learning from the model and optimize phase and you reapply it to your strategy and prioritization phase, and you improve your strategy, and then the entire loop starts again. So really, to understand why this book is different from most other books on performance management, we need to go through the structure of the Part 3 chapters. Let's take supply chain as an example. Now, if you look at the supply chain chapter, what you find is first a graphic that explains all of the most important processes in the supply chain, that explains all the roles that are being played in the supply chain. Okay, now what that does is it shows you who's involved. Then the graphic goes into a more detail. What it shows you is the KPIs, the specific KPIs, and also the specific processes that break everything down into further detail. Now the chapter really does its work. It goes through and takes a step-by-step walkthrough of how you implement performance management for the supply chain now that you've got the context of the KPIs and the processes. So it goes through each step of the performance management lifecycle. The chapter goes through a case study that brings it all into very, very sharp relief. It makes it concrete. Because what you'll be able to do is you'll be able to hand this chapter to your supply chain person Or the supply chain person will be able to hand this to the CIO or CFO and say, this is what I need in order to do a better job of tracking my compliance measures, my risk measures, and my KPIs. So it's important to deal with performance management as a unified whole, dealing with the performance measures, the KPIs, at the same time you're dealing with risk metrics and also compliance concerns. If you deal with everything at once, and then if you apply those three dimensions to specific areas of business, you start running your business in a way that aligns strategy and execution. It allows you to monitor what's going on. It allows you to see before problems develop, and it allows you to optimize your business in ways that you couldn't before. That's really what performance management is all about. It's just turning the lights on and helping you understand where your business is going and whether you're getting to where you want to go. That's why I think this book is very important. If you want to find out more about this book, just go to www.DrivenToPerform.net and you'll find a variety of content waiting for you. So we hope that you enjoy this book as much as we have.